Can you see the clouds?
And think to yourself, there's no place like home.
Can you see the trailer?
There's no place like home.
Can you see the dog?
There's no place like home.
Can you see me? I have on my old dirty clothes. We are in winter prep mode. We're supposed to have it to be super freezing. It won't clear freezing tomorrow, and I'm thinking tomorrow night's going to be down in the single digits. We don't like that, so that has done nothing to improve my mood today, but it's kind of a serious topic I want to talk about right now. So for those of you who are looking for some lighthearted RV, thought-provoking, I just want to have a good day, this is probably not for you. And as you saw in the title, and as you see the way I'm dressed, if there was an emergency right now, this is what I'd be running out of the house with. And I'm making this video today about this idea of sort of a reality check, road culture reflection. So it's kind of a reflective discussion. It's not a problem solving or here's your solution discussion, because there really isn't one. It's a major cultural issue that's been around for a very long time. But I think we're starting to see some new manifestations of what this looks like, and I've touched on it in some of my previous videos, and that's this idea of homelessness. And we like to say we're nomadic. I like road culture. I like the idea that my home can travel, but there's a reality to this life and to this lifestyle that I think sometimes is hidden in these kinds of videos, or hidden in these kinds of channels. And you know, as a social worker, I spent a lot of time with people who didn't have a home, and it's traumatic. And right now we've got the California wildfires going on. You know, we had hurricanes this year and last year. We've had some pretty significant and powerful natural disasters in which large numbers of people have lost their homes in a very catastrophic way. But it's really not that much different when you lose your home due to 1,000 other reasons, whether it's foreclosure, whether it's, you know, for personal reasons in terms of relationships, you get booted out, it's addiction, whatever, money, whatever the issue is that something that we as a culture, at least in America, don't like to talk about or think about is homelessness. And that is partnered with situations like immigration that's going on in Europe right now, that there's sort of a forced homelessness for people who are in refugee status. So it is a multi-tiered problem, but I wanted to talk about it today because I see it as one of those things that gets kind of swept under the rug in terms of the fantasy social version that you see on, like I said, on these Instagrams or the websites or the videos, where it's actually pretty stressful in terms of not having a permanent home. But one of the things I think that I've learned along the way is that it's also stressful when you have a home. You know, a real home is expensive. You know, just because you think you own it, you really don't. With property tax, nobody owns their own home. Technically, I own this trailer, right? So I have a home, but where I can put it, there's actually no legal place in the entire country for somebody to physically be. I don't know if most people know that, but you don't really have a legal right to be anywhere. Somebody always has a say, even when it's public property or public commons. There's always a reason why you can there's a little baby cow out there. I hope they know what's coming. But no matter where you are, you have the ability to get booted off, whether you're parked, whether you're walking, whether you're sitting down. And, you know, I think that just really brings us to a larger question. And one of the reasons why I've been talking about this as a cultural phenomena or shift or movement is that a lot of people are put into living into their RVs or trailers or have nothing because of the systems that we have in place. There's just no solution. You know, when you lose everything financially, sometimes you don't have a choice. And I think the deeper question, and these are the reasons why I do these videos, because I'm interested in the bigger, deeper issues, even though we're talking about RV stuff or nomadic stuff. For me, it's systems of living, and it has a bigger, deeper meaning to it. And that's a real cultural thought system about where should we be standing on the ability to actually live someplace. You know, the days of being able to just build a house on land are over. You know, it's always been a tribal thing. It's always been a boundary thing. So there's never been a simple solution for all time. But the world that we live in now, at least in America, everything's illegal. Everything you have to have by permission. Everything costs a lot of money unless you are under the kindness to strangers or, you know, sliding under the radar kind of a thing. And I think that just goes to this deeper question of how do we as a culture or society creating systems of living, how do we want to really deal with this? I mean, we're in this really interesting place where we have the skills, we have the resources, we have the money, and we have the ability to have nobody be homeless by choice. It's infinitely more expensive. I think the last statistic I heard in the LA area is it costs about $16,000 a year to provide housing for somebody living on the street. It was almost $120,000 a year if they were homeless due to ER visits, resources, jail, and psychiatric admission. So it's the acute management of chronic problems that always becomes very expensive. But we have this really interesting way of being right now in Albuquerque. They have put together a plan for a tiny home community for homeless people, and everybody's rejected it. They don't want that. They want traditional mobile homes, and nobody wants homeless people living next door to them. And so, you know, one of my goals with these videos and living this way and not, you know, being like a homeless person is to try to reduce the stigma of different life choices as a bad thing just because you live simply or you don't have money or you've had problems or you've made alternative or non-conventional choices, to remove the stigma. But I think the deeper issue that only each of us can do individually, because we'll never have a system problem or a system solution that's perfect for everybody. But I think the deeper issue, I was thinking about this last night, is are we going to individually find a way to have dignity for other people regardless of their situation, their choices, or their circumstance? And I think that's the bigger issue. I'm getting so tired of all the judgment and all the comparison and all the, you know, claiming to be cool and all this other stuff that goes on. I think part of it is because I'm putting marketing together for something out for my website, and I'm exhausted with how everybody's telling you they have the solutions to everything and everything's fantastic. Just like these videos that people are putting up, how this is fabulous lifestyle. When there's a lot of really crummy things about this lifestyle. One being the fact that I'm going to spend the next 48 hours being really cold. I don't like that. And so, but it's a choice, and it's something that I choose to own. I don't blame or pointing fingers or whining. It's just, you know, I'm trying to gear up. So again, this isn't a happy video. This is just a thoughtful video, reflective video. Because I think it's something that's really important. I mean, if you're watching these videos, you're thinking about living unconventionally, you're interested in alternative ideas. And a lot of people come to this decision not because they want to, but because they have to. And my intention and goal is to always try to remove the stigma, to make it have dignity, and to present myself most of the time in a way where I want to own those ideas. And I encourage other people to do that too. But I just wanted to, as right now, you know, with the headlines, just amazing pictures with what's going on in California. Entire town gets wiped out. I mean, these just wild fires with the wind. You know how I feel about the wind as it's kicking up right now. That it's important to remember that we have the ability to create home for everybody, and we don't choose to do it. And that's not the same as enabling people to be victims. It's the way I've learned to look at it is that we are in a place where we have the position or the ability to create opportunity. And we need to look at that in a way that I hope happens for us in the future. not opportunity as a few people define it, but opportunity that everybody has access to in their own form of dignity and self-accomplishment. So, giving people handouts and not expecting anything in return, that rarely works except in like a fire situation where there's a crisis. When it's a chronic problem, we still need to look at those situations. How can we return dignity to people, but also give them some place to get out of the wind, to get dry, to be safe when they sleep at night? These things are really important, and I think culturally we're at a point in time where we need to start thinking about those things in a different way, not as blaming and judgment, but hopefully as a way to say, there's so many amazing creative solutions. There's an infinite amount of space. There's plenty of resources. Why do we spend our money, not individually, but as a culture, as a society, as a nation? Why do we spend our money the way we do and deny people just basic life necessity, either by denying and regulating to the point where you can't take care of yourself, creating economic systems that you can't survive in, or just flat out refusing people to have the ability to lift yourselves up? I think that's a really interesting question. So just something I was thinking about this weekend, because as I'm prepping for my next couple days and seeing what's been going on in California and the past this year with the hurricanes and last year, I just think it's a good question to think about for those of you who are like me, are interested in alternative or non-traditional living. People should still have the right to have some safety and shelter as a core right. And as a country, as a nation, as people, as humans, I think those are really good questions we need to ask ourselves. Why do we invest so much of our collective money into tearing things apart instead of providing shelter, instead of blowing the shelter up? You know what I'm talking about. So I know it's a little heavy and people in the RV world don't like to talk about that kind of stuff, but hey, we're at the end, and I'm sure if you're one of those people, you've clicked off by now. So I'm going to take a deep breath because I'm not sure we're even going to have internet or electricity tomorrow. I shouldn't have said that. I hope I didn't just jinx myself. But with that, we'll see you next time.